I want to take you to the scriptures. I want to take you to that first Easter morning. Some of us who've been following Jesus or walking with Jesus, and we've had a lot of Easter mornings. I want to take you back to that first Easter morning. I don't know what the temperature was like. Maybe it was 45 and dark like it was in Michigan. Maybe it was sunny. Maybe the sunrise was coming, but we know it was early in the morning. I want to take you to John chapter 20 today. John chapter 20, verse 1. It says this: early on the first day of the week, on Sunday morning, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene is this gal who Jesus encounters, and when Jesus encounters her, she's tormented by the power of the devil. She's tormented by evil spirits, and Jesus sets her free. He liberates her to live differently, and then she starts to follow Jesus, becomes this influential leader among the movement of Jesus. Mary Magdalene, she went to the tomb. She was going to consecrate and embalm Jesus' body, to preserve it, to honor it. And when she got to the tomb, she saw something that was a little irregular. She saw that the stone, a couple 1,000-pound rock, had been removed from the entrance. So she came running to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one Jesus loved. This is John, the writer of the Gospel of John. Comes to Peter and John and said this: they've taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they put him. Verse 3, so Peter and the other disciples started for the tomb. They kind of did a little track race. Both were running, but the other disciple outran Peter. Again, this is John writing about himself. We see a lot of humility on this Easter story. He outran Peter and reached the tomb first. He bent over and looked in at the strips of linen lying there, but did not go in. Then Simon Peter came along behind him and went straight into the tomb. He's like, I got here second, but I'm going in. He saw the strips of linen lying there, as well as the cloth that had been wrapped around Jesus' head. This wouldn't be just a couple cloths. This would have been layers and layers and layers wrapped around the body to preserve it and prevent decay. Some translations say that the linens were folded. Now, I didn't make my bed this morning, but Jesus made his bed on that morning. Finally, the other disciple who had reached the tomb first also went inside. He saw and believed. And he didn't believe in the resurrection of Jesus. He believed in the testimony of Mary, who came back and said, hey, the body's not actually there. They fact-check her. They have a track race to the tomb. And now they're saying, yeah, he's actually not there. Verse 10, then the disciples went back to where they're staying. Now Mary stood outside the tomb crying. As she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb. She's like, I have to see for myself. I have to come to grips for what has really happened to this friend and this leader, this guy I trusted, this guy that I put my hope in and my confidence in and my future in. I have to see for myself. And she saw something. She saw two angels in white seated where Jesus' body had been, one at the head and the other at the foot. They asked her, woman, why are you crying? Sister, why are you crying? Friend, why are you crying? They've taken my Lord away, she said, and I don't know where they put him. At this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but at the time, she didn't realize that it was Jesus. And Jesus asked her, woman, why are you crying? Who is it you're looking for? Thinking she was the gardener, the groundskeeper, the tomb preserver, she said, sir, if you've carried him away, if you know where the body is, tell me where you put him, and I will get him. Jesus said to her, Mary. She turned toward him and cried out in Aramaic, Rabboni, which means teacher. Mary Magdalene went to the disciples with the news, verse 18, I have seen the Lord. For those of us who are Jesus followers, for those of us who are not yet Jesus followers, for those of us who are exploring being a Jesus follower, exploring what this thing is about, or maybe you just wanted to please somebody by coming to church on Easter. Friends, this is the moment as we think about the trajectory of Jesus followers, as we think about this thing we call the Christian faith, the Christian journey, the Christian walk. This is the moment. This is the crux. This is the punchline of the joke. This is the turn in the story. This is the moment. I grew up not watching a ton of movies, but one of my favorite movies was Remember the Titans. Any Remember the Titans fans here in Caledonia, or maybe you're watching at home or watching on spring break and give a little woo-woo, right? Left side, right? Remember the Titans. I asked someone who was a little bit younger than me this morning. He said, never seen it. And I said, what a sin. So Remember the Titans, it's this powerful movie about this racial conflict in the mid-1900s, and these two groups, these two teams, these football teams collide, and they come together to conjoin to be one football team. At the beginning of the movie, there's all this adversity, there's all this conflict, and the story is, yes, about a football team, but it's much more about individuals coming together and unifying around a common cause. One of my favorite movies. It's got Daniel Patton with that great voice, that great Daniel Patton voice. And it's got Denzel Washington. And who does not like Denzel Washington? And there's these coaches that come together to unite this team. And they're in this huge game, this massive game. And they're down a couple people. Gary Bertier, the captain of one of the football teams, and he's the captain of this team. The star linebacker, he's in the hospital. He's in this car accident. He's in this hospital, can't play. Now, then Rev, their quarterback, gets an injured wrist. Actually, one of his own linemen misses a block. He gets pummeled to the ground, breaks his wrist as they head towards this significant game. And so they're shorthanded. And they're in this game. They get far enough in the game, and Coach Yost, Daniel Patton, comes to Coach Boone, Denzel Washington. He says this, he's onto your game. You got to throw something at him he ain't ready for. Coach Boone says, hey, Rev with the broken wrist. Hey, Rev, you ready to run? You ready to run? And Rev, like my life depended on it. And he calls this play, he says, fake 23 blasts with a backside Georgia reverse. Fake 23 blasts with a backside Georgia reverse. And Rev gets the ball, and he runs down the sideline and scores this touchdown, and the game turns, and the other coach is like, isn't he the injured guy? Like, isn't he the one who's supposed to be sitting out? That's the moment of Remember the Titans. That's like the hero moment. That's the turn moment. And this is Jesus at the empty tomb. This is Jesus on the first Easter. And I want you to think about that moment. I want you to think about that scenario of Jesus at the tomb. And the reality is, if we don't have this moment, we don't have much. If we don't have the moment of Easter, we don't have much. To summarize, a guy named Paul in the New Testament, his life is radically changed by Jesus. He goes from Christian persecutor to church planter. To summarize some of his writings on the resurrection of Jesus, he says this, in some simple words, if Jesus wasn't raised, our faith is worthless. Worthless. We're just a bunch of good people trying to live good lives, singing some half-decent songs, right? If Jesus wasn't raised, our faith is worthless. It ends very quickly. It's worthless. It's fleeting. But if Jesus was raised, our faith is priceless. If Jesus really got up, if this moment really happened, then there's this priceless element. Then it is hope. Then it is new perspective. Then it is new possibility. Then it is new beginning. If Jesus was raised, our faith and our following of him and our trusting in him is priceless. Jesus goes to the cross. He enters into Jerusalem in Holy Week, and he goes to the cross, and he takes our sin. This is Good Friday. This is Jesus taking on the weight of our separation from God, the separation that we act ourselves into and that we're born into. And sin is more than just a bad day or a bad decision. Sin is a separation from God, an irreparable tear between perfection and imperfection. Sin is our separation from our Creator. Any way that we lived as if we were God and he was not, that's what the scripture was just described as, this reality of sin. And Jesus comes on Good Friday and he takes a cross. He's on the cross. He suffers a cross. And Jesus' goal in Good Friday was not the cross. His goal was you. His goal on Good Friday was not to just take a punishment, to take a weight, to take a crucifixion. His goal was to be reunited to someone he loves, and that's you. You were on his mind. I was on his mind. That is Good Friday. And he came and he lived and he stood in our place and he dies. He's buried in the tomb. Here's the thing I love about Jesus. See, plenty of leaders today and in history have made promises and claims about themselves in the world like Jesus did. Plenty of groups have formed around people and popularity has been gained like Jesus experienced. Plenty of world or even religious leaders have lived lives of moral integrity that warrant respect like Jesus did. Plenty of leaders, plenty of people in history have even given their lives for people or causes and projects that they believed in. But there's one guy who got up from that grave. Just one. Just one. It's Jesus. It's Jesus. And there's this moment that he was raised to life by the power of God. And if Jesus rose on that day, then there's nothing more important than this moment right now. If Jesus really got up from a tomb, if the grave really is empty, then there's nothing more important than slowing down to consider, what does that really mean for my life? There's nothing more important than taking a couple moments to celebrate and remember, and not just celebrate and remember, but experience this reality. And there is this event of the resurrection. I want to talk about this in two themes. There is this event of the resurrection, that this man, Jesus, really walked the earth, that he really died, that he really had this following, that because of his resurrection, this church multiplied, this movement of his followers multiplied. There is this event of the resurrection. That in Jesus' life and his death and his resurrection, that over 300 scriptures, prophecies, fulfillments that he walks into are realized. There is this event of the resurrection, that he came, that he lived, that he died. And it's this pivotal event. It's this marking event in history. That's why we come back to it every single year. My daughter, Thea, just turned 3 on Thursday. And for the last couple days, she asked, is it still my birthday? No. And she said, am I still 3? Yes. The logic is trying to, the mental synapses are trying to connect in this moment. Well, why do we celebrate a birthday? Well, it's not because the birthday happens, it's not because that person's born every year, but it's because it matters to go back and remember who they were and their significance to us and what happened. I have memories of Thea's birth that were just unique, other than any other memories in my mind. That's just how it goes, and remembers things, and we celebrate her because it's worth remembering. There's these events that are worth celebrating. There's these days that are worth coming back to, and that's why we come back to Easter every single year. But it's more than that. Actually, it has to be more than that. If we are authentic and real to what Jesus died to give us and died to offer us, it has to be more than a day. It has to be more than a holiday. There is this event of the resurrection, but the resurrection is much more than this. You can say it this way: resurrection isn't just an event we remember, it's a person we can encounter. A person we can encounter. Resurrection isn't just an event. It's not just a what. It is a who. And it's not so much about a date or an observance of a date or a holiday or a calendar. It's about a person. It's about a living reality and a living opportunity, because events are observed. People demand a response. Events come and they go. Thea, it's not your birthday anymore. People stay with us. Events have titles. People have names and identity. And the person of the resurrection is just as important or more important than the event of the resurrection. So as we think about Easter, we think about that first day. There is this event of the resurrection, and it matters, but it's not just an event we remember or remind ourselves for. No, it's in a person we can encounter. He is more than an event. He is more than a celebration. He is more than a service. I want to take you to a part in the scriptures where we see this, where we see Jesus, even before his cross, before his resurrection, step into this resurrection identity. It's in John chapter 11. Some of us would recall this story. story of Lazarus. And just like the empty tomb, this is another Remember the Titans moment. This is another galvanizing, securing, significant moment in the life and the ministry of Jesus. We'll take a couple passages in John chapter 11 just for sake of time. Verse 1, it says this, "Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary." Side note, this is a different Mary than Mary at the tomb, okay? At that time, if you read the scriptures, Mary must have been a popular name. It's a little bit like a Steve or a Sarah or a Tim that you know, right? Your friend or your spouse says, "Hey, we're going over to Tim's house." You're like, "Which Tim?" Right? That's a little bit the characteristic of Mary throughout the scriptures. The village of Mary and her sister Martha. Lazarus is the brother of Mary and Martha. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, "Lord, the one you love is sick. Lord, your friend is sick." When he heard this, Jesus said, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." And we'll jump all the way to verse 20. "When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home." "Lord," Martha said to Jesus, "if you had been here, my brother would not have died, but I know that even God will give you whatever you ask." Verse 23, Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Now, Martha looks to an event. She looks to a future event. She looks to a date on the calendar, and she says this, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day." Like Jesus, we believe in the teachings that you've said that there's this moment, there is this event of resurrection that is coming someday, somewhere. Jesus said to her, "I am more than that." This whole story is about more than that. Jesus said, "I am the resurrection. I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives, whoever walks, whoever stewards this life by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?" Verse 27, I love her response. "Yes, Lord," she replied. "I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God who has come into the world." Basically like, I don't really understand what you're saying, but I trust you. This is the response here. After she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. "The teacher is here," she said, "and he's asking for you." When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. Verse 35, Jesus wept. Jesus arrives on the scene. He's taking in the happenings and the emotions and the realities of the moment. The scripture says he is deeply moved. He weeps. Remember that Jesus said he already is the resurrection. He's already covered that. He's already covered the fact that there is this future resurrection as well. He's already told them that the story isn't going to end here, but somehow Jesus has this ability. Somehow Jesus has this characteristic. Somehow Jesus has this reality about him. Is this idea that Jesus can be the resurrection and he can weep with you at the same time. Jesus wept. Jesus wept. He wept with them and he wept for them. Jesus can be resurrection and life and power and victory, and he can be the most empathetic person, the perfect counselor, the perfect companion that you've ever known. Jesus can be the resurrection and he can weep with you at the same time. See, some of us, we have a Mary at the garden tomb. We have a Mary at Jesus' tomb moment. I'm praying that's true for so many of us today, but some of us need a Mary at the Lazarus tomb moment. To see Jesus, who is resurrected and glorified and seated in victory, but who is intricately involved and who cares about your situation. Some of us were here today and we've lost people between last Easter and this Easter. Some of us today, we've lost things. We've lost situations. We've lost dreams. Some of us, we've lost confidence or passion for Jesus or our settledness. There's been something that has been lost. There's a grief. There are tears, figuratively or literally, that we carry today. And Jesus can be the resurrection, and he can weep with you and mourn with you and empathize with you at the same time. And the Jews, the crowd, they see this, they observe this, they feel this from Jesus. It says this, see how he loved them. See how he loved him, Lazarus. But some of them said, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying? Jesus, once more deeply moved, he came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. Take away the stone, he said. Probably took a couple guys that drank their protein shake this morning that were ready to go and move this stone. But Lord, said Martha, the sister of the dead man, by this time there's a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days. He's been there a while, Jesus. And some of the study and soaking in of this passage and thinking and praying about this, came across the King James Version of this passage, and it eloquently and beautifully says that Lazarus stinketh, that he stinketh. There's a bad odor. There's this reality that the death has set in, that the body is decaying, that the death is final, and they've had days upon days of being reminded of this. In verse 30, Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory or the manifestation or the working or the power of God, the glory of God? So they took away the stone. And Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you've heard me. I know that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit. I'm praying out loud so other people can kind of know what's going on, Father. The people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me, that they may believe that I am who you say I am, that they may believe that I am the resurrection and the life. When he had said this, Jesus called out in a loud voice 3 words, Lazarus, come out. Lazarus, come out. The dead man, he came out, his hands and feet wrapped over, just like Jesus' body was, over and over and over again. Someone said that there's these 2 miracles, that Lazarus comes from the grave, and the second miracle is that he gets out of the grave clothes. like there's he's wrapped, he's embalmed, he's tied up, and he comes out, the cloth around his face. At the time, most tombs would contain several bodies. It's very likely that even Jesus' tomb had several bodies in it. And one scholar decades ago said this, that Jesus called Lazarus by name, for otherwise every other dead body in the tomb would have risen with him. Jesus is not trying to cause that much of a ruckus before he goes into Holy Week. So he's like, I'm just going to call out Lazarus. And he says, Lazarus, come out. And he says, take off the grave clothes and let him go. Again, this is before Jesus even enters into a city. This is before Jesus even gets into Easter week. And it's this reminder for us that resurrection is not just an event we remember. It is a person we encounter. It is a person we can encounter. It's a person we should encounter. It's a person that wants to be encountered by us. And Jesus says, I am that resurrection. It's who I am. When I get around things in your life, I just can't help but resurrect them and call things forth and awaken things. And I want to encourage you on this Easter Sunday, I want to encourage me on this Easter Sunday that Jesus can resurrect whatever is dead in your life. Jesus can resurrect. He can raise up. He can call forth whatever is dead in your life. He is the resurrection. He is the power to see things raised and resurrected and healed and restored. He is that resurrection. And he can raise whatever is dead in your life and in my life. He can raise what is forsaken. He can raise what is forsaken. The things that we've said, probably not that anymore. Too hard. Too many variables. too many unanswered prayers. I'm just going to forsake that. What's something in your life that feels unresponsive when you try to address it, or you try to believe for it, or you try to pray for it? What's something that feels like Lazarus, who is dead, who is unresponsive for 4 days? You got to know that they were going to the tomb. You got to know that they were walking past that tomb, and every time they did, they were reminded, man, he's in there. He's gone. Our brother is gone, most likely far too soon. What have you forsaken in your life? Jesus can raise what is forsaken. He can raise what is forsaken. He can raise what is forgotten. What is forgotten? What's something that maybe you haven't intentionally given it up or given up on it? What's something that's just slipped out of your mind and your heart? What's a dream or a prayer or a calling that you've let just over time or over a series of disappointments or events, you've let it just drift away and you've forgotten it? Jesus can resurrect that too. Whatever is dead in you or around you, Jesus can resurrect. He can rebirth. He can restore. And I don't know if you're like me, but I need that promise on Easter Sunday 2026. There are some things in my life that I want to see have a Lazarus type story happen to them. That there was this reality and it felt too far, felt too hard, felt too long, but Jesus called it to life. Jesus brought it to life. Jesus can resurrect even that. What we forsake or what we forget. And maybe for you, it's you. Maybe for you, it's like it's not a situation, it's not a relationship, it's not a miracle, it's not a health thing. It's literally me. It's my own soul, it's my own heart, it's my own life. The scriptures say without Jesus, apart from Jesus, living in that sin that he died on Good Friday to pay back for us, to stand as a sacrifice in, living in that sin, the scriptures say that's living in death. Apart from the resurrection and apart from the life, we live in death. And maybe for some of us in the room or joining online or gathering in Midville, you are what Jesus wants to resurrect. It's not just them or that thing or that situation in my life. Maybe those are true, but the deepest parts of you, your spirit is actually dead. It's actually separate from God, and God wants to raise that for his purposes and for his life and for his plan for you and for being united and walking with him in newness of life. He can resurrect whatever is dead in your life and in my life, because he's this person of resurrection, this person of resurrection power. So what's our part? What's our part beyond just remembering or being reminded or celebrating an event and a person? What's our part to participate in the resurrection of Jesus? I want to take you back to Jesus' words to these sisters that again are grieving and mourning and wondering what's going to happen. Jesus said this: I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die, even though there's this physical death that is coming for us all. And whoever lives by believing in me will never actually die. Like death won't be the end. Death won't be the final word. Do you believe this? Jesus says there's this reality of believing and trusting in me, and he makes this reality personal. He says, now do you believe this? To believe is to live like something is true. To live with our confidence placed in something. I've used this stand before. I've used this podium a couple times. I have a belief that it's going to hold the things I put on it. I act as if it's true. I have good reason to believe that. This is what Jesus is saying. Do you believe me? Do you trust me? Do you live like I am telling the truth? Jesus said, if you believe me, you will see the glory of God. You will see the power of God. You will see the resurrection and the life of who I am. Let me ask you, what are you believing in? What is the anchor of your life tied to? What is the foundation of your house built on? What are you believing in? What are you finding hope and security and vision in right now? By the decisions you make and the prayers you pray and the things you invest in, what are you believing in? Is it yourself? Myself? A significant other or a spouse? Is it a financial situation or our own abilities or wisdom or security or confidence? Is it really in nothing? Is that anchor just moving from thing to thing to thing? What are you believing in? Would you consider Jesus' invitation, his question, do you believe this? And I want to help us lean in even more specifically to that by this question. Where do you need a resurrection? Where do you need a resurrection? Where do you need the power of Jesus to bring something that is dead and gone back into life? Where do you need Jesus to raise something that you can't raise on your own? With your own effort, your own striving, your own consistency, your own good intentions, what do you need Jesus to raise? Where do you need a resurrection? And I had this question that popped in my head late this week, that what if that place that you say, I need a resurrection, what if that is a resurrection story in the making? What if that is Lazarus' story 3 days in? What if that is Jesus' story on Saturday? What do you need Jesus to raise? Where do you need a resurrection? Is it something in your body? Is it something in your marriage? Is it something in your confidence or your vision for the future? Is it something with someone you love? Is it something with your child? Is it a health crisis? Where do you need a resurrection? For some of us, we just want our love for Jesus to be resurrected. It's like, man, Jesus, bring me back to Mary Magdalene, bring me back to Mary and Martha to see a fresh work of you, to see my joy and my love and my passion for you resurrected, raised to life. Where do you need a resurrection? I want to show you just a short list of many different resurrection testimonies that would characterize the people of Journey. As I thought about our church, as I thought about our people, thought about multiple stories that these statements would just categorize. Things like marriages and health and hope and freedom and purity. Things like confidence and identity and calling. Maybe for you, you even read one of those and you're like, yeah, that's me. That's my story. My self-control, my mental health, my love for Jesus, my friendship or friendships, my joy, my faith has been resurrected. Because when Jesus starts to move in our situation, when he starts to move in our minds and our hearts and around us and in us, he starts to raise things. Things start to find life and hope and meaning and possibility. Again, this is who our God is. And friends, especially if you're not, we wouldn't call Journey your home, this is who Journey is. We're just a bunch of Lazaruses. We're just a bunch of people that aren't perfect or have arrived yet. We're a bunch of people who've experienced Jesus raising things in our lives. And many of those things are in progress. Many of those things still have a ... Many of those things still have a comma that follows them. But this is what it means to be part of a church. This is what it means to be part of the family of Jesus followers, is to get around first the person of Jesus, and to get around a bunch of other people who want a resurrection just like he did on that first Easter, just like he did at the tomb of Lazarus. So let me ask you again, where do you need a resurrection? Where do you need a resurrection? Maybe it's in one of those categories. Maybe it's something else that just the Spirit of God would highlight in this moment. Maybe it's something else you walked in here, you've walked the last 3 months and you would have known if I asked you that. This thing, this place, God, if you could bring something to life in this place, here it is. Where do you need a resurrection? This is the person, this is the reality we gather around every year and most times every week. Because we need to be reminded. This is who our God is. This is what He does, and He loves to resurrect things in our lives.